Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have to like, it doesn't have to be like crazy serious. It's just like,
Yeah.
let's just talk about sex trafficking.
Yeah. It's real.
It's very real. Yeah. So like, what is sex trafficking and exploitation of women and children? Like, what does that mean to you?
It's not just women and children. It's actually men and it's boys too. I saw a lot of transgenders as well over there. That's very popular in Thailand is where I was at, Pattaya, Thailand. But exploiting women and children, that is the main focus of it. You see more women there being trafficked, but it's not just like teenagers or it's not just women in their 20s or 30s. I actually met a woman who's 45 and had a family and had grandkids already, and she was still in sex trafficking. So you see the little baby infants as well on the side of the road, and they'll use the babies from prostitutes or victims of sex trafficking as a way to lure more people to them as well. So the babies are actually victims to lure in other and more victims. So that's what that means to me. I know for children up in Thailand, it's actually an honor to go into prostitution or to do sex trafficking, even at a young age, if it means if you are funding for your family. So if you are giving the money that you are earning to your mother and father in a different town. So like you might be 2 hours away from your family doing this business. But you're still under the age of 15, like doing sex trafficking and earning an income. And they'll go in the middle of the night and be raped by not just one man, but it might be many. But yeah, so that's what I see.
Yeah. What is a misconception you think people have about sex trafficking and exploitations of others?
Oh, one of the misconceptions is they just think it's teenagers or it's kids. But it's boys, like I said earlier, it's men. And it's literally anyone. So everyone could be a victim. Another misconception that I can think of is it's not happening near you, but I can tell you basically anywhere there's a drug problem, there's prostitution, and there's prostitution in homes happening. There's sex trafficking happening with people's children in cities. In Indianapolis, it's happening. In Muncie, it's most likely happening. It's everywhere. I remember a small case of it breaking out in my small little hometown, and we just heard a little bit of news of it, but we would see taxis from Cincinnati or Indianapolis, which is 2 hours from my small little hometown, which has their own taxi business, which didn't make sense while we were having these type of taxis just sitting outside of restaurants for hours. And so it happens everywhere. So if you think it's not happening in your hometown, it probably is, and you're oblivious to it.
Yeah. So you said that you've done field work. So like what did that look like for you? Like what operations, what that's kind of a serious word, but like what did that look like for you?
Okay, so I went to Thailand for about 3 weeks in 2019, June of 2019. And I got to study about it. I had to prepare myself, like, because I didn't know what I was walking into. So I was taking little courses, trying to train myself of what should I do if a situation does arise that I might be in danger in or anything. But when you go in, like you're just on adrenaline. And so Pattaya has 27,000 prostitutes that line the streets. That's not just prostitutes, that's women who have been trafficked. And you can tell when someone is. There's different. So on Walking Street in Pattaya, is so Pattataya, in case you needed to use that for your project.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's different businesses for different types of women. So if you want an Indian woman, you can go into this building. If you just want lesbians, you can go in here. If you want to see a show of 3 women together and they're like throwing pornography posters at your face while you're walking the street, then you see strippers on the side of the road, and you see parents, you think they're parents, walking little children down the street as well, watching all of this happen. You see girls dressed up as dolls on one side of the street, and just people yelling and laughing in your face while you're walking this street as well. And you would see even handicapped people on that street lying there, trying to collect money from gum and like Tic Tacs and everything, but those are trafficked victims as well. It's not just sex trafficking, it's human trafficking allows for a lot of different things. There's different varieties of human trafficking, and one of them is like they having pity for somebody and giving them money, but that money is not going towards that person, it's actually being collected. And so I have a picture of this woman, and the feet of the trafficker is literally right behind us, like watching her, in this picture of her. But then you see walking back from this very busy city-like vibe, that's like dirt floor, like dirt, like it's not even a pavement, it's just dirt, with like New York like businesses on, like how loud it was and the music and everything. And walking back from, we were like shoulder to shoulder with people, it was so crowded. And there's a drugged girl like in a man's arms, and during the hours of 9 o'clock to about 2 in.the.morning is when most of the people are getting maybe women, or you get your transgenders during those times. And then they bring the children out about like 2 to 4 or 5 in.the.morning. And that's when pedophiles come out more towards, but they were preparing for her like to go to the pedophile hour. What else was there? In the city of Pattaya, like it was normal for tourists to go there just for the sex trafficking. So I would be in a hotel and you would see prostitutes coming in and out of rooms all night. So basically you're just surrounded by it. 27,000, that's the culture, that's the economy of the city. But yeah, for my work of it, so we got to walk through the city, able to see it one night, and about a few times we were able to actually go into a bar. We had a man with us who seemed like more of the authority, just because culture over there is different and they listen to a man more than a woman. We had and he was able to talk with the pimps and negotiate, and we would buy 7 to 14 prostitutes at a time. We would give them resources to a center similar to Destiny's Rescue. It was different though, because they had a facility, it was near the bars, that rescued women, told them, it's called the Tamar Center. It tells them how to develop a skill, and they actually show them how to make a skill that they can start their own business with. They can become a salon person, or because salons in Thailand are very popular. But they just teach them skills and they rescue them, but also they're a faith-based organization as well. So they show them about faith and who Jesus is as well. So,
so I want to talk about that center more. What do you know? Like, what resources, like, can we just talk about that?
Yeah. So the Tamar Center, it is, I think it's like a Baptist-based center, but I think it was started by just a bunch of women just desiring to help the women in the city as well. So they have a coffee shop that's actually the daily business, but in the very back of the store, they show people how to make scarves. They show people how to make cards, like thank you cards, happy birthday cards. And it's like a big crafty, because Thailand, if you go to any of like the touristy areas, it's a very, very crafty. Like they have little knickknacks everywhere. So they teach them how to make bracelets and just how to sell them and be producers and consumers as well. But they show them, I think they also direct them to mental health things because there's a lot of trauma that happens. I was only at the Tamar Center about a day, so I wasn't fully able to get immersed in that whole process, but it was an awesome program. It was very similar to Destiny's Rescue though. So.
Okay, cool. So what made you want to take up this issue? What made you want to be a part of, informing and ending human trafficking, sex trafficking,
Yeah. What was going on during that time? So 2019 or 2018, I did a project for my English class about just a issue that's going on in the world. And we had to make a video project about it. And we had to connect it to like a movie and just actual cultural things that are happening. So we used news facts, we used movies, we just combined it all together, made this little video, and I just got passionate about it through there. I watched the movie Priceless and I was like, oh yeah, this is a real issue. This is really going on. I think I heard a few stories of like little girls being rescued. And I was like, wow, this is when I was like waking up to the truth of sex trafficking. And then about New Year's of 2019, I was told through a woman called Laura Swan about this adventure that she's been on for the past 8 years in Thailand. And when she would go into the bars and would buy the prostitutes and take them out, like she's been doing this and she's seen fruit from it, or she's seen people get rescued from it, and going back and forth and always being intentional with them and meeting up with them once a year because it's what she could do at the time, and getting them connected to the shops and as the Tamar Center and stuff. But I don't know, I just got a heart for it. It's a real issue. A lot of people ignore it, which like blows my mind. Like we are a society that will share something so quickly, but when it comes to a life, and this is a billion lives, like or a million, it's happening. It's so many numbers and we ignore it. Like how many missing children are there? Like not all of those are deaths, not all of those are abduction. Like they are all abductions, but like not all of them are just simply missing kids or sex trafficking victims now. And I think we put that to the side and we ignore it. And there's so much it's happening in foster care. I think during that same time, like there was an issue, I think it was coming out of Louisville actually. And there was an issue that was happening with social workers, and it was connecting to sex trafficking with foster children. And that's a industry within itself. It's like we're selling kids, like not United States of America kids. It's in the government. Like the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing came out, and like it's a big thing. And I think with COVID happening in the pandemic, we saw a little bit with the hashtag save the kids or save our kids hashtag came out. We were able to open our eyes and see more resources being developed, but then that hashtag has faded. We're still ignoring it. And we're like, oh, we're going to live our life. But like, what are we doing about it?
Right.
But they're kids. I'm an elementary education soon to be teacher because I'm graduating in May, and knowing that those could, like any victim, like those could be my children, my own classroom. And I just have that heart for children and rescuing kids as well.
What is a takeaway that what is one takeaway that you want people to like genuinely walk away with? Because I feel like we always talk about the issue of human and sex trafficking, but I think it makes people so uncomfortable that they just push it back to the back of their mind. They're just like, yeah, it's a serious issue. And then they move on. So like, what is one takeaway ideally that you could, like, if you could make one statement that just stuck with someone, what would it be?
Okay, so I got a few little points.
Go for it.
But like, wake up. It's a real issue. We should, right? Second of all, what if this was your kid? What if this was your sibling? What if this was your cousin? What would you do then? And look at those children as if that was a family member. Mm-hmm. Look at children as if they were or look at those women as if that was your mother, because some of them are moms. Some of them are dads. Some of them are just lost. And I mean, all of them are lost. Like, we cannot find them, but there's a way. There's always a will. There's always a way. We can do something, and you can do something. You can share information on social media. Keep sharing it. You can start donating to Destiny Rescue. I think Exodus Road is another resource. I can't think of all of them. There's another resource in Oklahoma as well. And then there's resources even in Las Vegas. So if you don't want to donate abroad, you can donate to organizations in America that is rescuing people in Las Vegas, in Orlando, in Oklahoma, and in, what is it called? Los Angeles, and I can't even think of the last one. Louisiana. Can't think of that city right now.
You're fine.
But yeah, I was like, oh well. But wake up, it's happening. It's real. Sex trafficking is real. Human trafficking is real. It's not just sex trafficking. And start caring about it. Like, sometimes you just feel that, like, you need to care about it because this is happening. This could be your own family mother. This could be your own life. Like, no one ever expected their life to be stolen from them like this. And we have millions of people being victims to it that we're just blowing aside.
Yeah.
Millions of people that make up, like, the city of Indianapolis. Like, think like that population is scattered throughout the world. Some in cages, some in bars, some chained up, some being raped night after night after night, and being sexually assaulted, sexually abused, and they don't know if anybody's going to help them. So be that person that does help them. Be that person that starts a GoFundMe, rescuing at least one child. Start with one child at a time. I think with Destiny Rescue, they actually need a few, like 1,500 or so to save one kid. And that's not just like getting them out of the bar. Like, that's not their ticket price. It takes sometimes $25 for one night for one person. Like, that is less than a hotel rent. Like, it's ridiculous. And sometimes, like, oh, you want $2? Give me $10. Like, 2 hours, give me 10 or $10 for 2 hours. That's ridiculous. Like, how much is a person worth? Is $1,500 so bad? Like, no, it's not, because Destiny Rescue, I love them for this, is they rescue people using, they basically con their way into the pimps and, like, get the person, and they revisit them and they try to rescue them at a time. And they fund their education. They give them money. So when they are done with just like going through therapy and helping them, give them resources to fix their trauma, like just help their trauma, because they're going through trauma right now. And then they give them money to support them after they've been through their like rehab, essentially. And they give follow-up. So, like, that's what the 1,500 is. It's books, it's utilities, it's allowing that person to have a safe place to go to. This buys their way to get out of the bars or get out of the cages. This helps supports the ministry to keep their eyes, their lights on. Like, it's more than just, oh, I just need money to buy their exit ticket. It's no, you're supporting somebody.
Yeah. I really appreciate you meeting with me. You really gave me some really great information. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.